promised Eduardo that I will have Spanish by the end of 2020. But in the meantime, I would strongly suggest you use the translation, because I find there are so many new concepts, and because we are working in the field of bearable discomfort, it's hard enough to work through these concepts in English as your first language, but I would suggest like this idea of simultaneous translation in this context is vital. So I've run these workshops in China and in Brazil with and without translation, and I will say the translation in this case is super important. So hopefully you'll take advantage. Super excited to be in Mexico City. What I want to start with is to talk to you a little about the chaos that we're feeling in every part of business and social life right now. I feel like across the world, regardless of where I go, big companies that have made their plans based on historical data and historical patterns are not seeing the growth they've seen in the past. And the reason they're not seeing growth is that we're in the middle of a fundamental upheaval and change. And this old style of thinking, in terms of rational thinking, prediction, and knowledge, from the human perspective, is no longer relevant. We actually are in an era, the fourth revolution, an era of exponential change, where we need to try a new type of thinking in order to keep up, and in order to really value human ingenuity. So if we're talking about a fourth revolution and a period of massive change based on machine intelligence taking over huge amounts of work that was always done by humans, what we as humans need to do is really level up our human ingenuity. So my mission, my passion, is all about the human side of this revolution. The human side of dealing with relentless change in a way that values our creativity and our innovation and allows us to harness the technology that is abundant now so that we perform better. And I feel like a lot of the feelings of powerlessness, the drops in productivity in workforce, and the knee-jerk reaction of a lot of companies to lay off their staff instead of exploring the human capital and the human potential is because a lot of these technologies make us feel slightly irrelevant. What we need to do is understand that they're here to enable our creativity and our innovative thinking. And if instead of feeling threatened by technologies that might appear to do what we do but better, artificial intelligence, prediction, knowledge, calculation, what we need to do is explore this new way of thinking and understand that our brains are capable of so much more. And it's actually, a blessing to us to use this technology to free us from calculation and rational thinking and allow us to do what humans do best, which is thinking moonshot style, possibility thinking, imagination, big problem solving. So I'm excited to come to Mexico City, and generally I'm excited to work in Latin America because of the way you guys think. Naturally, I feel that Latinos also, I'm saying Latinos because hey, girls, naturally think in a more collaborative and social way. Everything I've seen so far supports how I feel about this. So I think this classic way of American thinking, which is you set one goal, you specialize, and no matter what, you head towards it. You think about yourself, you head towards that goal. Now we're in an era where you can't head towards one goal. It's going to keep changing. You have to be open to possibility, and more than ever before, you have to know how to collaborate and trust your partners in platforms and ecosystems. And so this is why I'm excited to work with you all, because I'm hoping that this type of thinking, this mindset shift that we're going to actually feel this morning, the aim is we'll feel this bearable discomfort that I'm talking about through a series of exercises, and it will free you up to then go out and share this with other people and collaborate on some really big world solutions. Oh, no, I have to just keep on checking my connection because that connection keeps dying. Here we go. All right. So what I want to do is start with just setting the scene on how thinking has changed, particularly business. And then we're going to talk about a mindset shift. So here you have the classic business way of thinking. So if you're an MBA, you basically set a goal, you have a line of sight. This type of thinking is very intuitive to the human brain because we set a goal, we have ROIs, right? We have to meet targets, we get to the end. So your usual 5-year plan is based on this kind of thinking. But the world has radically changed, and so now we have technologies that are increasing and sharing out at an exponential rate. Exponential is a completely different rate of change, and the curve looks something like this. And if any of you have used McKinsey's 3 horizons in business planning, this idea of the first horizon is planning for now, the second horizon is planning for 5 years out, the third horizon, which is usually innovation, is like further out. The exponential curve has no horizon. This rate of change we're talking about and we're experiencing cannot be visualized with a horizon. And that's why it requires a completely different type of thinking. The cool thing is, it's really exciting when you start thinking in this different way, right? You lose the feeling of powerlessness, you realize that you can be very comfortable in chaos. And that's the essence of what adventurous thinking is. Understanding how to find opportunity in chaos, being always ready to identify adjacent opportunities. So, in really clear terms, if you're talking about linear, the old school way of thinking, you can measure it. I can look at this room and I can say 30 linear steps is 21 meters, it's basically here to there. My steps are kind of big, right? Exponential, 30 linear steps, start slowly. 1, 2, 4, 8, then it starts doubling. 16, what comes after that? 32? Not a maths type of girl, computers can do that. But the whole concept of exponential change, exponential business growth, is that we can't easily visualize. So even if we look at it as 26 times around the Earth, 30 exponential steps is a curve that doesn't come naturally to the human brain. This is why we can't use our classic way of business thinking to plan for a future where so many technologies and so many businesses are increasing, changing, and spreading at exponential speed. Right, so the interesting thing about the exponential curve compared to the type of thinking we're used to is if you have a look, it starts really slowly. So if you're talking about a return on investment, you will not see anything for a while. And so most people drop this concept or these technologies before they start multiplying at scale. But if you hang in long enough, you get to a state of disruption where what you've created spreads at such speed that you lose control. Again, totally counterintuitive to the way we've always planned our businesses. We've always felt like if we're successful that we're controlling the market. We're controlling what happens with our product. In this new era of technology being digitized, what we produce, services being digitized, products being digitized, we've lost control and instead we have to turn to trust. We have to look at what platforms we've created. We need to look at what our ecosystem is. It's totally different type of thinking, but you'll understand why I believe it's particularly suited to cultures that are about collaboration and about community. Because at the end of the day, this new type of thinking is about understanding community at a business level and a massive scale, which I find really exciting. If we look at the world today and the lack of connection for so many people, platform thinking and ecosystems give us the opportunity to reconnect in different ways. So we're going to talk about that today also. So if you look at human history, it's easy to see how we went from this linear type of thinking to exponential change. Have a look at this. So here we have some developments early on, pottery, irrigation, doobie-doobie-doo, maths, all sorts of things. It's not until the agricultural revolution comes that people start gathering in groups, which means they share information more quickly, which means it spreads faster. And have a look at the curve. So then we have industrial revolution. Industrial revolution, we have cities. People are sharing ideas at a much faster rate, right? The curve goes up. It used to be called Moore's Law, or it still is, because it was all about, this curve was all about the number of transistors per square inch on a circuit, right? I kind of go cross-eyed as soon as you start talking about computers and circuits. But in other words, It's the idea that in your iPhone is 2 or 3 times now the computing power that sent man to the moon in the 60s. This is the idea of how fast technology is not only getting smaller, getting more powerful, getting shared at a greater rate, and getting cheaper. Right? So as things get cheaper and more people have it, you have this incredible change because everybody is connected. We can do great things with this. So in the last 60 years, as technology has spread, and we've been able to share at this unprecedented rate, we have this concept that suddenly technology is affordable and abundant. And so as we digitize what we do, as businesses, we look at different modes of operating, we create a scale that we've never seen before. And just a couple of the examples here of some of the 10x technologies, we call it 10x exponential. Some of the technologies, 3D printing, was once 100,000, now it's less than $100. DNA, once 10 million, now less than $100. So this concept that if we think in a moonshot, big possibility way, can take these available 10x technologies and actually realize massive dreams that were never able to be realized before, is at the crux of this different type of thinking. Okay, so there we have the internet, and this is why we now have massive disruptive change. Because once we're sharing at scale, once we're sharing digitally, we've lost control of who's using our stuff, but we've also spread our influence in a way that we've never been able to do before. So when we come to mindset, what's my pace? Too fast? Okay? You're so good. Can you just give a round of applause for the translation? It makes such a difference. So what we now have is this massive sphere of influence, which is why our purpose is more important than ever, and trust is more important than ever. It's a fascinating time to be doing business. It's a fascinating time to be trying to solve massive problems, because each of us, have an ability to outreach at a scale we never could have done before. So I think that some of these Ds are actionable, and I want you to think about how we could action them, and some of them are just descriptions. But the first one that enables us to start affecting people at scale is digitization. Now what's interesting is a lot of big companies think that they need to digitize with a massive umbrella digital strategy. So they hire a digital technology officer, and they come up with a strategy, and they blob it down on top of everybody in an organization. And more often than not, it scares a lot of people and possibly fails. But digitization can also be very interesting when you look at it from every single person in an organization looking at one thing they do every day. So I want you to think about one thing you do every day that has value. A person to person, a business, whatever it is. Think about what would happen if you retained the value, but you made this a digital interaction. That means you make it a template of what you're doing well, so that it can be translated into any language, so it can be shared online with anybody. So think about everything you do. Think about one thing. What could you digitize that you would then upload, that would then create a relationship online with people that you've not interacted before? Think about what that could be. Just give you a minute. Because this is a strategy of digitization that would involve everybody in every company, or everybody in every field. And it's a really effective way of understanding the impact of digitization and feeling empowered when you digitize. It's kind of the opposite, like most things I do, to standard corporate practice, and it's really, really exciting. So just have 1 minute. What could you digitize? Just write it. Oh, I should say. So you have paper in front of you and you have some markers. When you're learning new information, your working memory will retain it much better if you're doing little drawings or doodling on that paper. My artist friend will know. So if you're thinking about all this new stuff, the idea is just be doodling at the same time, and it actually helps you retain better. Cool. Digitize. idea of single function digitization is something that can be really useful to take to your team. Helps people understand how to pull the power back whilst at the same time digitizing their functions. Now the next D is just a description. It's deceptive. Should I walk over here for a while? No, I'll stay here. I'll stay here. Deception is talking about that part of the curve when you think nothing is happening. So you might have digitized, you might have uploaded, and maybe this thing that you've done available and nothing's happening. You're like, hey, nothing's happening. How sad. Right? Give it time. Because you actually can't tell. There is no return on investment obvious in an exponential action. But suddenly, when you don't expect it, it will disrupt, and that means people have started sharing. So once this thing is starting to share, and other people hand it to other people, it can become disruptive. Or not, it may not, but if it does, it's becoming exponential. The next D that is actually actionable is dematerialization. This is a kind of difficult concept in any language, but if you think about, if you're old like me, and you think about records and cassettes, right, holding music, MP3 players holding music, and then iTunes, when you need to buy music, and now you think of your phone and Spotify, and the fact that all the music is stored on your phone for free. This is dematerialization, taking things that were once products and making them digital. And a really cool example that extends the concept a bit is this one. This is a new way of thinking about packaging. So often with dematerialization, you think about product, but the stuff that the product comes with is also ripe for dematerialization. So here we have single-serve olive oil. So this company says, if the milk lasts a week, why does the carton last for years? And so with the olive oil, they looked at the fact that olive oil comes in a heavy glass bottle because it oxidizes. And so it's heavy to ship, it's of expensive material, and then it has to be recycled. Instead, they've gone to single-serve olive oil that is packaged in caramelized sugar and beeswax. You crack it like an egg, and it's gone. And so this completely transforms packaging, completely transforms storage. It rethinks waste entirely. This is what we can do with dematerialization. So cool. It's K Padre, right? Did I use that right? I'm slowly learning. Now, this is possibly the most significant characteristic of exponential thinking that I can come up with in terms of developing a network or a platform at massive scale. Demonetization is about looking at something in your business or something that you do that has perhaps reached maturity. And I've worked with a few people in fintech around this concept. It kind of blows capitalism apart to a degree, but it doesn't. And I'll show you why. So I was working with Caterpillar, massive. Anyone here work with Caterpillar? Just out of interest. All right. I was working with Caterpillar, and I grew up with my dad as a mining engineer. So I grew up in open cut mining in Australia, and I know this equipment really well. So Caterpillar asked me to come because they had sluggish growth. Sluggish. That's kind of a joke. Anyway, they had slow growth, and they wanted to run an innovation workshop. And I said, your whole business is based on tightly held IP. Right? So they have suppliers who they license to produce their stuff. But they have supply issues all the time. Their clients are unhappy about that. And so I said, let's do a 4-hour workshop on what if your IP was free? And they were very unhappy because it's the basis of their business. However, what we did was realize really quickly, if their IP was free, they would no longer have supply issues. They would go into the business of digital certification. They would go into the business of digital authentication. Their businesses could scale because they would be looking at supply in a new way, more consistent with exponential technologies. So suddenly, the mines that are waiting for supply equipment parts can now get parts from anybody. That anybody just has to be certified by Caterpillar. So within 2 hours, we had 11 new business opportunities that were very, very profitable from this single concept of taking something they had always tightly valued and making it free. This is huge because at the same time, if you make something that's valuable free, you are accessing an incredible number of people that you probably never thought of. You're giving your sphere of influence a 10x effect. You're creating a platform and people will look to you and trust you for something else. So this is a huge part of platform play and ecosystem. And then finally, the result that you get from all of these Ds is democratization. You have impact and effect at a massive scale. And consistently, if you think that within the next 4 years, 70% of the world will be operating from a mobile device. And that includes some of the fastest growing economies in the world. Then you realize the influence that you can have by putting out things for free that are accessible on technology like this. And then using that platform to achieve other purposes. Is this all making sense? So exciting. All right. But to really take advantage of this amazing opportunity we have with this kind of technology and scale right now, we need to think completely differently. Okay, so here is the mindset we need. This is the exciting bit. And once I've talked to you about this mindset, I'm going to give you a parkour activity that will activate you and you will feel it. So everyone in the room, you've already felt it. Everyone in the room is going to feel a different type of thinking. And if you don't, then I'll come and help you get there. Right? Because this is the crux. So essentially what we're trying to do is make sure that we have a growth mindset. Now, growth mindset is something that's been spoken about and researched for several years now. And adventurous thinking slots right in here. So the 5 lenses that I've developed touch upon these concepts. This idea of embracing challenge, embracing failure, and using it as a foundation. The idea that obstacles make us stronger. The idea that making massive effort is creating new neural pathways that give us more options when we're problem solving and generally in life. The idea that constructive criticism needs to be shared all the time. We don't tell people something is great. We do. We tell them, we encourage people to do a new idea, but we do not hold back on what we think are the problems with that idea. Because people need to freely idea share. This is a really important part of doing the best we can and developing. It took a while to come to that.
Bueno, y además a lo homínido para que puedas hacer
¿Cómo lo haces así? Que los demás también sepan.
que decíamos, no sé,
Entonces, ¿cómo lo haces?
porque si quisiera mira, yo soy así, digo, estás en la base.
It's deliberately engineered so there cannot be an answer. So what you need to realize is, when you think this is ridiculous, it's actually your expertise telling you you do not know the answer. And we're now here in an era where nobody knows the answer. So we need to get comfortable in that area of thinking. You don't know the answer, and it doesn't matter. Okay, so I need you to give me 5 minutes. As soon as you think, this is ridiculous, I'm out.
Y eso es chido.
Understand, it is you censoring yourself from thinking in a different part of your brain. If you don't know the answer, this is an exciting time to try for 5 minutes to use all your ability, your creativity, your sophistication and nous to come up with something extraordinary. In this case, a butterfly or a moth. Moths are underrated. And here's this concept of bearable discomfort that we're about to actually experience. In this chair, if you're leaning forward and you're working, this chair is working just great. But if you lean back, it's a problem. So just to help you think about this different way of thinking, I want you to think of an elephant. What do you think of when you think of an elephant? Call out. What do you think of?
Wise.
The size?
Great. Yep. Great. Oh, great. Yeah. What else?
Big?
Yep. What else?
Wise.
30. Yeah, you might roll the dice, true.
Wise and slow.
Yes. All right, so what we do, when I say think of an elephant, we think about everything we know. You notice that? We don't think of a question. We don't think, for instance, what is the possibility of an elephant? What would an elephant be if it was a machine? Or what could an elephant do if it was 1/10 its size, but exactly the same thing? Or working in a herd at a different scale? Or what are the different functions of elephant that we could actually use in different areas? The difference is the questioning. One of them we're comfortable with because we know, right? We know basic facts about elephants. That's easy. And in fact, we could Google. But if we think in that visionary way, there aren't easy answers. We have to start asking questions. And it's important to get back into the habit of asking questions. I used to use a slide, maybe I'll put it up tomorrow. It was a to-do list from Leonardo da Vinci. Now bear in mind, he didn't have the internet. Right, so he would write himself these lists and they would involve work out how a crossbow works, go and measure. We're going to try a quick parkour exercise and then I'm going to let you have a coffee. Yes. Yes.
Like a breakthrough or something, or you can take things that are already in the market, but it's not necessarily implemented in the company, and then you can be disruptive. For example, to go against what the company is.
So disruptive? No, that would be a competitive advantage, or it would move up to repackaging, depending on where you move it, and it's still innovative. I'm not discounting that at all. It's an important step, but anything that is a step rather than a leap is not disruptive. Because basically, disruptive requires you to come up with a brand new way of doing it. Brand new. You can't get there. It's like space travel. Nothing we already had would have got us to the moon. We had to leapfrog all of that technology and think of something brand new. And that gets really disruptive. And that's what we're about to do. Super relevant, but not necessarily massive growth. It's different. Perhaps it's platform building. But up on the right-hand side in disruptive innovation, we have the potential for massive growth because we're thinking of brand new systems, brand new ways of doing, and brand new markets. And if you think of it in those terms, thinking in that area is so relevant today because we are expanding into new markets at a crazy rate. They're markets we don't understand, and they're constantly changing in the way they do things. And technology is changing the way we do things at a rapid pace. And it allows us to test and prototype cheaply, more cheaply than ever before. So I want you to look at this quadrant, and I want you to mark where you think you're innovating today. Are you exploring new markets? Are you working with things that you already know? It's all legitimate innovation. But once you know where you're marketing, you can then plan where you want to go next. You can plan to explore different systems. You can plan to explore different markets. And if you have a team, you can assign different people to different quadrants with reporting time. So you start controlling innovation in a way that people start understanding what you're trying. So take a second, just mark down where you think you're currently working, where you're comfortable working. And these 5 lenses all work in different quadrants. So as we go through them, I'll tell you where they fit. Done something. This is the technology you've always used, but also the delivery system. And on the right is radical change. This is the technology and the delivery system you have no idea how to do. You don't know what it is, but you know it's going to be something completely different. And then on the vertical, we have people. It's not always market. You might be a teacher. You know, you might be doing outreach of some other sort. It doesn't have to be people you're selling to. But on the bottom, we have everything we know. The people we think want what we have. The people we know. The people that we currently sell to or market to or deal with. And at the top, we have the people that don't want what we have. The people we never think of. Perhaps the people without any money. Might be refugees, might be homeless. Might be really, really young, might be really, really old. And then think about the potential that can pose. For instance, microbanking. Banks always went to the people with money who could pay back the loan, right? Microbanking was about lending tiny, ridiculous amounts of money to people who couldn't pay back the loan, but hey, they did. And it spawned an entirely new and profitable industry. So, if we have a look at this quadrant, down the bottom, with what we know, we have 10% better. We can have a better light bulb, a better system of doing things, a better accounting system. That used to be where we got our growth, 10% better, but it's not working. Companies are scratching their heads, and why aren't we getting the growth we always got? It's because everything has changed. Now on the bottom to the right, you've got competitive advantage. You've got a little bit more potential to make some money, but it's nowhere near what it is. Now we don't really need money. We have abundant technology. And we need to be thinking this big. We can't think in terms of 10% better. Does anyone here use lean thinking in their organisation? Lean? Yeah, no? It's usually more manufacturing. So lean has a section in it that's consistent innovation, and that's great, but it's about the 10%. And every company has usually relied on the bulk of their growth coming from 10% innovation. But the flip side of technology being shared so fast and so easily is you can be copied in a fraction of the time you used to be copied. And patents are no longer helping you with that because there are algorithms that can get around them. So 10% innovation is not going to give you the growth you need. Moonshot thinking, 10x innovation is going to bring the growth. And it's not as risky as it used to be. So basically, we can no longer be risk adverse, we need to be risk perverse. We need to get in there and explore risk and understand it's not as expensive to fail as it ever was before. And a tool that really helps you is this one that's on your worksheet. It's called the Innovation Quadrant. So this is a super useful tool for helping you understand where you're currently thinking in terms of innovation and where you can take it now that you're looking at some axes. This is really useful when you're talking to people who cannot.
Todo el día aprovechan. Y el parking también les recuerdo que si alguien nada más pudo hasta cierta hora para que no perdamos eso. Y bueno, los dejo con Ceci para que les cuente más de la galería.
Bueno, muchas gracias, bienvenido. Este concepto del Salón de la Plástica Mexicana se funda en 1949. Lo funda el Instituto Nacional de Bellas Artes con el propósito de crear una galería de ventas libres para los artistas, el cual en 1949 no existía la comercialización del arte. Entonces, para el instituto fue muy importante apoyar a los artistas en la venta de obra, en fortalecer el mecenazgo y el coleccionismo. A 70 años de trabajo ininterrumpido no hemos estado solo en este lugar, hemos tenido muchísimas sedes. El origen fue aquí en la calle de Puebla. Y entonces reúne a los muralistas mexicanos, a los más representativos muralistas mexicanos, a los artistas que representaban la Escuela Mexicana de Escultura, a los artistas del Taller de la Gráfica Popular. El Taller de la Gráfica Popular fue un movimiento social importante de grabadores que pretendían hacer obra para difusión del movimiento social. Todo esto surge a partir de la Revolución Mexicana, en busca de un lenguaje nuevo de lo mexicano, de la esencia de mexicanidad. Así es como surge el Salón de la Plástica Mexicana. Finalmente, en esos 49, en 50, más o menos al principio de la década de los 50, incorpora a la fotografía, fue la primera instancia en México que incorpora la fotografía como arte visual e inicia incorporando las nuevas disciplinas y las nuevas tendencias. Una de las razones por las que nos ubicamos en esta tradicional colonia Roma, hace 25 años, tenemos 25 años en este espacio, fue catapultar también la zona para el Salón de la Plástica. Ya no se dedica a la venta de obra, actualmente ya no se dedica a la venta de obra. El salón se funda con los, por ejemplo, con Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, artistas muy representativos, entre ellos José Chávez Morado, que tenemos ahí en nuestro maestro, que también fue muralista, tiene obra en Michoacán, murales en Michoacán, y esta carpeta que quise que vieran es una carpeta que hizo, es una producción que hizo para el museo, cuando se iba a inaugurar el Museo Nacional de Antropología. En 1960 le piden a Chávez Morado que haga una carpeta sobre el mito de Quetzalcóatl. Él produce, él por supuesto, y como todos los artistas de esa época, se involucran leyendo códices, leen los códices, establecen una relación con las comunidades, estamos hablando desde los 40, 50, 60, establece una relación con las comunidades indígenas, con los pueblos originales de México, originarios de México, para crear un concepto de Quetzalcóatl. Entonces, el mito de Quetzalcóatl surge en la cultura tolteca, que es teotihuacana, son hermanas. Entonces, esta carpeta se llama Tula Tolteca, mito y leyenda. Lo que hizo también el maestro, y como todos los artistas de esa época, es, bueno, un poco involucrarse con las comunidades, no partir de un imaginario, sino enriquecerlo con la vida cotidiana, respirando lo que vive el pueblo, lo que respira el pueblo, lo que come, lo que escucha, la música que escucha. Todo eso enriquece el proceso creativo de los artistas, especialmente de esta generación, de los fundadores y la herencia posterior. Entonces, él inicia con toda la leyenda del nacimiento de Quetzalcóatl, el parto de Quetzalcóatl, que muere la madre, y son su evolución, la construcción de la ciudad. Quetzalcóatl es un ser mítico que lleva al pueblo de Mesoamérica, todos los pueblos de Mesoamérica aztecas, incluso llega a la cultura maya, como un ser mágico, pero que lleva el conocimiento a los pueblos. Y aquí es muy interesante esta pieza, porque hay una dualidad. En las culturas de Mesoamérica se dan estas dualidades. No es ni el bien ni el mal, ni blanco y negro, sino significa que este es Quetzalcóatl y este es Tezcatlipoca, que es el espejo humeante, es digamos, él es la representación de la serpiente emplumada y él es el jaguar. La serpiente emplumada, ahí vamos a ver un enfrentamiento hasta allá de la serpiente emplumada con Quetzalcóatl, que es el día y la noche. Cuando llega la conquista a México, que traen un Cristo negro, traen los Cristos negros, pero entonces los indígenas hacen los Cristos, traen los Cristos blancos, y los indígenas crean un Cristo negro, porque era imagen y semejanza, entonces los mexicanos éramos negros, los otros o morenos, digamos. Pero esa no fue la idea. La idea del pueblo de México fue esa dualidad. En México no existe una sola energía, tiene que haber una dualidad, fuerzas encontradas que permitan el movimiento continuo, el movimiento de la energía. Le dicen Olin Jolisli, que los conocemos, es como el yin y el yang. Los pueblos antiguos lo sabían y lo manejan y lo siguen manejando. Si no hay esas dos fuerzas, no es que fuera el bueno y el malo, sino las dos fuerzas encontradas, el mismo juego de pelota tiene esa implicación, es esa lucha entre avanzar entre el día y la noche, que son las dos seres, digamos, los dos universos que permiten la continuidad. Y bueno, ahora es el átomo, ahora ya con la física cuántica ya lo sabemos, pero siempre es como un concepto. Entonces aquí termina esta carpeta, finalmente no se edita, no se le hicieron, en 60, en 90 llega un chicano y le dice, maestro, vamos a editar su carpeta, y esta carpeta la editan y se presenta en el Museo de Arte de Chicago. Y ahora la tenemos aquí. 50 años guardadas las placas, y bueno, tenemos el placer de tener esta exposición en esta ocasión. Bueno, este espacio se fue transformando, esto es lo interesante, por eso a Eduardo le pareció oportuno, un poco porque si ustedes ven nuestra hoja de sala, estos son los miembros artistas que forman parte de nuestro colectivo. Es un colectivo de artistas, son 400 miembros, vivos y muertos, ya tenemos muchos muertos, Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, muchos de ellos, y seguimos trabajando en forma ininterrumpida, nunca ha suspendido su trabajo. Es un colectivo de artistas plásticos de todas las disciplinas, apoyado por el Instituto Nacional de Bellas Artes, en sus somos. La ubicación en este lugar, en la colonia Roma, cuando llegamos, era una zona devastada por el sismo del 85, era una zona muy abandonada, con las casas hermosas pero muy deterioradas, y la idea fue posicionar al salón y apoyar también a la comunidad, porque es también una función como institución. La casa, esta es una casa, acá abajo, si ustedes entraron, vamos a bajar rápidamente para después subir. Tenemos esta sección que ven ustedes, es la casa, todo esto hasta allá. Y esta otra parte sería el patio. Entonces, el Instituto Nacional de Bellas Artes protege el patrimonio. La casa es de 1914, entre 14 y 16, es una tradicional casa de la colonia Roma, son muros de piedra de este tamaño. Todas las estructuras tienen cargas independientes, hasta el subsuelo no carga la casa. Y lo que hicimos fue recuperar como Instituto Nacional de Bellas Artes y como salón, recuperar el aspecto original de la casa, respetar, no se tocó absolutamente nada, incluso cuando tomen café se pueden asomar por la bardita y ven que ni siquiera la terraza está tocada, está respetándose los muros originales de la casa, pero lo hacemos con un espacio ágil, porque nos interesa justamente que la zona sea muy diversa. La ventaja de habernos ubicado en esta colonia, somos una institución apoyada por el gobierno y por los artistas, por los 250 artistas vivos. En la esquina tenemos otra institución, otro museo en Boca Roma, desde la universidad. Eso propició que todo este corredor, toda la zona Colonia Roma, tuviera ya muchas galerías. Entonces una galería, como ya tenemos público cautivo, entonces las galerías se ubican enfrente, y la cafetería, y el restaurante, y las boutiques, y la obra de los nuevos jóvenes que crean objetos, indumentaria, utilitarios, boutiques, todo eso, se fueron ubicando en esta zona justo porque ya es una zona muy, que ya tiene un público especial. Todo lo que es Corredor Roma Condesa ha sido eso el origen. Entonces, si gustan, en lo que ubicamos, pasamos a conocer un poco el espacio para que conozcan la casa y subimos para que ubiquen, para que mientras vayan preparando acá. Sí, sí. como ven los tocados, es un tributo a la vida, todo es un tributo a la vida, todo esto es un tributo al sol, a la vida, a la naturaleza. Lo que tiene el pueblo mexicano es el amor a la vida y es lo que no debemos perder, por eso hacemos estas exposiciones. Esta mujer hermosa, las gordas que somos, así somos las mexicanas. Y ahí hay una pieza de una negritud, porque México tuvo migración negra, escondida, pero somos de tercera raíz, mezcla entre los pueblos zapotecos, pueblos indígenas, con la negritud y la europea. Somos tres razas. Aquí se ve. Es una zona, Juchitán es una zona de mujeres poderosas, eso es muy importante. Las mujeres juegan un papel fundamental en la cultura. Esta pieza, por ejemplo, aquí dialogan muy bien las dos piezas, es lo que en museografía hacemos, poner en diálogo cómo cargan a los niños, hay unas maternidades. Esta es Tosia Malamud, fue una migrante judía que viene de la guerra, igual que otras artistas, fueron migrantes españoles. Este lugar estuvo enriquecido por migrantes españoles, migrantes judíos de la guerra y norteamericanos que vinieron a enriquecerse por ahí. El caso de Tosia Malamud, ella viene muy pequeña huyendo de la guerra con los padres, es rusa judía, y se incorpora a la Escuela Mexicana de Escultura. ¿Se han visto el monumento a la madre? Varios monumentos así con esa estética ruda, a bloque cerrado. Ellos son los maestros, Ortiz Monasterio, es Pablo Ortiz Monasterio. Ella es discípula de esa generación, también ya murió, es una artista que nació en el 23. Muchos de aquí ya están muertos.
Comentabas algo de las mujeres juchitecas, ¿qué decías?
¿Por qué no nos ponemos todos en cuclillas para que salga al fondo y...
Uy, pero tomé la
Todos agachados, sonriendo la cámara.
¿Se puede meter un poquito más?
Es que yo quiero que vayan sus sillas. Yo más allá mejor.
¿Estamos?
¿Sí cabemos?
¿Dónde ves?
Agachados.
¿Eso es todo?
¿Dónde hay que mirar?
Ya estamos todos.
¿A cuál miramos?
¿Por qué no nos ponemos todos en cuclillas para que salga al fondo y...
Uy, pero tomé la
Todos agachados. Todos agachados, sonriendo la cámara.
¿Se puede meter un poquito más?
Es que yo quiero que vayan sus sillas. Yo más allá mejor.
Ahí estamos.
Manos.
¿Sí cabemos?
¿Dónde vemos?
Agachados.
¿Ya son todos?
¿Dónde hay que mirar?
Ya son todos.
¿A cuál miramos?
Serio, está muy serio. Muchas gracias. Toma, Tina. Serio, está muy serio. Muchas gracias. Toma, Tina.
Un ángel.
Piénsalo.
Ah, bueno, mejor lo pienso. Dame.
Piénsalo.
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Pero no se te va a olvidar. Aquí.
Muy bonito.
¿Qué hay que hacer?
Tu nombre.
¿Ah?
Tu nombre.
¿Dónde? ¿Dónde tengo que escribir mi nombre?
Lo están poniendo enfrente.
¿Dónde ponemos el nombre? Yo creo que en la pestaña.
En la pestaña.
Café rojo.
No, o sea, que lo pusimos para delimitar el espacio. Lo demás va a venir del conocimiento a...
Bueno, voy a ponerle mejor aquí. Hay una referencia de Toledo, o el caballito de Sebastián.
Son las montañas y la cascada de ¿qué tal?
Y ya está pensando.
Bueno, pero qué cosa no me lo puedo hacer, no se va a hacer. Que se dura. No puede. Oye, pero piénsalo.
Un ángel.
Piénsalo.
Ah, bueno, mejor lo pienso. Dame.
Piénsalo.
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Pero no se te va a olvidar. Aquí.
Muy bonito.
¿Qué hay que hacer?
Tu nombre.
¿Ah?
Tu nombre.
¿Dónde? ¿Dónde tengo que escribir mi nombre?
Lo están poniendo enfrente.
¿Dónde ponemos el nombre? Yo creo que en la pestaña.
En la pestaña.
Café rojo.
No, o sea, que lo